I'll watch the chat box. We'll see if we get any questions here. I don't know if anybody will join us, but if they do, cool. Till then, I'll just talk to you.
All right. That works. That works.
All right, we live. Let me pull it up. Boom. We're going. All right. Joining us live for the AMA today, Rick McAllister. Rick, tell people who you are so they know who you are. A lot of people know you already, but tell them who you are.
I'm the owner of Part 1 Construction up in central Pennsylvania, so Harrisburg, York, Lancaster market area. Been in business 20 years and primarily a roofing contractor, although we do just about anything at the home. The biggest piece of our business is roofing. Yeah,
I mean, you do some major construction work too, don't you?
We do additions, bathrooms, kitchens. You know, we do pretty much anything to the house except build a new home. We do additions, basements, you name it. Decking, a lot of roofing.
You build onto homes though.
I mean, yeah, we do additions.
On.
Yeah.
Building out.
I just never jumped into the rat race of new home construction. I kind of steered away from that.
Yeah. Well, we're waiting for questions to come in. Rick, you got any questions for me? Anything you want to ask me, Ben? It's an ask me anything, which means ask me anything. Nothing's off limits. I'll answer any question you want. And then I'm thinking as we have other guys join us and they drop questions in the comments that we'll tackle it together until you got to leave.
Yeah, I got a question. So okay. What is the overall percentage of my gross that I should spend on advertising?
Okay. I mean, that's a really good question. Once you pass the $1 million threshold, you know, I like to see that advertising be about 10% of your revenue. If you're being really aggressive, Rick, you can go for 15%, but you have to be doing some of the administrative labor on your own in order to cover that spread. So that would mean that, you know, maybe you're doing the supplements, or maybe you're doing the manager meetings. Maybe you're leading the sales meetings every week. You know, if you have a sales manager on, then you can't afford to go to 15 or 18%. But if you are the sales manager and you're playing tight, you can get to 15 or 18%. And that's advertising and marketing. Now I'm talking your shirts. I'm talking the pens you hand out. I'm talking the events that you schedule. You know, if you sponsor a Little League baseball team, it's your Google advertising, it's your Facebook advertising, anything that falls into the marketing campaign. You'll hit that number. Where do you feel like you're at right now?
About 5.5%. I'm spending $11,000 a month, and most of that is that's my consistent spend every month, and that's for the phone book and for SEO and SEM.
Okay.
There are some other things I do throughout the year, like you said, you know, sponsoring events, little league teams, little things like that I do. But my consistent spend is the $11,000 a month. $8,000 of that being in SEM, pay-per-click, and then the rest on SEO and phone book. Mm-hmm. And like I said, a few other things I do here and there. I do a little advertising in a local publication. They do a bi-monthly. I have a gated community here. It's got a couple thousand homes on, and they do a bi-monthly publication. I throw my thing in there and a couple other little things like that. But my main, like I said, is $11,000 a month.
Are you pulling anything from those community publications?
Yeah, the one over here near me for this gated community. Yeah, I do. I get a fair amount of work in the lake. Yep. I mean, every month, I think, or every other month, it costs me $264, and I definitely recoup my investment on that for sure. That's a full page ad in their little 6 or 8 page flyer that they put out every other month.
Yeah. We got Sean. Sean's on. I don't know if he'll unmute himself. He may just be joining us and listening in, but When you're going 10%, Rick, that's an upper threshold. That means you're being super aggressive. Right now, I know it feels like you're handing money out, hand over fist at 5.5%, 6%. But if you're going super aggressive, there he is. There's Sean.
Hey.
You may get to 10%, 15%. You're bleeding money. You're in a growth phase. You know, Central PA, you probably don't want to be at 15, 18% this time of year.
Right. Definitely. Yeah, roofing will shut down here after Thanksgiving for us for the most part.
Right. And a lot of that direct response advertising money that's going out, especially on Google, there just won't be the traffic to support it.
Right.
So you may tell them, hey, I'm willing to spend $5,000 this month, and there's only $3,000 worth of people looking. So not much you can do about that, unless they just get crazy and waste your money on the display network. And I don't advise that. I like the search response.
Right. Usually what I do is come middle of November, I have them switch my advertising keywords all over to stuff that's based on like bathroom and kitchen remodel.
You're going kitchen remodel, bathroom remodel.
Yeah, and then back in around the 1st of March, I flip it back over to all roofing again.
Okay. All right. Let me just see who's here. Wesley, afternoon. Jason, hey Mike. Mike Stinnett, hey Mike, glad to catch this. Rodney's on. Got a few people watching. Again, guys, introduce yourself. Rick, tell us who you are. We've got people coming on, and then we'll go to Sean.
All right, I'm Rick from Par One Construction up here in central Pennsylvania. We are a full general contractor. Roofing is a huge part of what we do, but we do just about anything at the home for people, remodeling, no new construction. All
right, guys. If you got a question for Rick, pop it in. He's going to stay around with us for a little while. He may have to jump off here in a minute. And we also got Sean.
Hey, Mike. Hey, Rick. Good to see you guys.
Doing?
It seems like old times here, so it's great. But I
love that reunion.
I love that ASAP hat, but I gotta send something your way. I think here, maybe Rick better send one, maybe two. But I don't know. Maybe you have a Par One hat. I don't know. But anyway, I'm Sean Dedemeyer, Van Wert, Ohio. We're very much like Rick. We do a lot of our work is roofing, residential, asphalt. We do some metal, low slope, that kind of stuff. But we also do remodeling. We have a sizable remodeling portion of our business, remodeling and renovation. We do some commercial remodeling, that sort of stuff. So yeah, we're kind of along the same lines as Rick.
Cool, man. Well, I'll tell you the same thing I told the other guys. If you have a question, today's the day. Ask me anything. If you came online to ask me a question, then let's let it rip, Sean. If not, we'll wait around and see what people have to say. I got some stuff coming in right now. We'll get to it. All right. Jason says, y'all are talking big numbers. I barely spend $700 a month and have more work than I know what to do with. I'm a small company though, and me and 3 full-time and 1 part-time. What do you guys think about that?
Where do you want to go?
Right.
What do you think? $700 a month isn't much, is it?
Well, $700 a month's probably enough to keep 4 guys busy. It depends on what he wants to do. Like he said, depends on where he wants to go.
And Rick, well, you're shooting for $3 million, right? Are you?
I just hit 2 this year, and I'd like to settle in at I'd like to settle in at 4 to 5. I'd like to settle in at.
Are you doing the remodeling and the renovation during the roofing season as well as the
year round? Yep.
What's the makeup of the renovation as part of the business?
So we're gonna hit. We're like 50,000 away from 2 million for this calendar year, and we've got 1 million in roofing and 1 million in everything else.
Oh, that's great. Are you guys on in-house, the remodeling team?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm at that. I'm along those same lines, 2 to 3 million, and I'm not spending the numbers that Rick's spending. Your numbers kind of scared me a little bit, but I think we're probably spending.
They scare me too, bud.
Yeah. I don't think. I mean, $700 a month. And what we're doing is mostly we do a little bit of Facebook advertising. In fact, I came across this new Facebook advertisement that is geo-fenced, which is pretty cool. So I'm playing around with that. When we were doing the RCO, Mike shared that $1 a day. We employed that, so it's very minimal for us. But what I did find that I did struggle with leads in the fall, going into the fall, and I think I could have been more proactive in the marketing end. We were very, very, very heavy in the spring and summer because of the weather that we had. We had some stuff that created some storm damage, but in the fall we were a little bit low on leads. So I definitely this is a timely conversation for me.
Well, I've always felt like I don't feel like I get enough return for the 11,000 I'm spending. I'm constantly pushing on my people that are doing my internet advertising and stuff and going, my phone's not ringing. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Constantly. I know other guys in my area that, well, I should say, when you talk to other roofers that are local to you, like I do, the big thing these guys always talk about is I got a backlog of whatever, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks of roofing scheduled. I have never had that much of a backlog. I'm always no more than 3 weeks out. Now, does that mean that I don't sell as many roofs as them, or does that mean I get them done faster? I'm not sure. We do 2 roofs a week, basically is it. 2 tear-offs a week is what we do. This year, we'll probably settle in at about 65 total roofs that we tore off. I think that that's a low number for the amount of money that I spend on my advertising. But I'm told that other people that I think are doing much more work than me are spending far less on their advertising. So I think I have to visit where I'm spending that money and how, because I don't feel like I'm getting a return, the proper return on that investment.
I would defer to Mike.
Yeah, I mean, where the money goes, it has to come back with friends. If I put $1 out, I want that dollar to come back to me with $1.25, $1.50, $2. At minimum, otherwise I'm not putting $1 out because there's an opportunity cost to spending money. What could I have done with that money if I would have invested it in hiring another salesperson, or invested it in buying an equipter, or invested it in my brand or my image in the community? So I have to be very careful when I do direct response advertising. I want to know, did this dollar go out? Did it bring a friend back? And this is the problem that the Yellow Pages ran into several years ago, is they were trying to convince people, as Google started, becoming a multi-billion-dollar beast. They're trying to convince people that Yellow Pages advertising still works. So what they did is they put a unique tracking number in the ads. And because they thought it still works. The problem is that a year later, when they went back and looked at those tracking numbers, the tracking numbers, a lot of customers didn't track one single phone call the entire year from the tracking number. So when I'm looking at my advertising, I use, I have an agency side of my business where I manage Google ads. And then I defer most of my Facebook to Leanne Koppel, who I think is the #1 all-time best Facebook advertiser on the planet for roofing contractors. And but when I do Google advertising, I use conversion ratings, which I put code on the website, and then I have a conversion code in the ads where I'm able to tell, how many dollars went out to get a phone call back. And then I track it all the way down to the keyword. So I know that this keyword cost me $150 to get the phone to ring. And I know this keyword cost me $700 to get the phone to ring. And I track it back to the ads to where I know which ad performs at the highest level. So it's all about having the conversion tracking in place on your direct response ads. If you don't have conversion tracking in place, you're just kind of shooting in the dark. And, you know, a lot of people, they don't know what they're doing on this. If you guys will give me a second, I'll illustrate the point for you if you want me to show you.
Absolutely.
Rick, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
All right. So I'm going to bring up a Google page, and you guys stick with me and I'll kind of walk through it real quick. All right. Can you all see what we're doing here?
Mm-hmm.
If you see it, just let me know.
Yep.
All right. So what is, Rick, what's the name of the town that's going to be the closest, biggest town to you?
York.
York?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to type in roofing York, PA. This is probably the #1 search term for driving phone calls. People that are legitimately looking for a roofer will probably use this search phrase right here. And you can see there's a lot of phrases that Google's bringing up here, but this is the generic one that they're going to use when they need a roofer. So right here, Google guaranteed. We got the big dog himself in the #1 spot. Par 1 construction. We have a really nice Google ad right here. It's using snippets, testimonials about our company. This tells me that your advertising agency knows what they're doing. They know how to use the snippets and the call outs in order to get extra attention. They have the phone number tagged here. I mean, it's a really nice looking ad. The thing is that only about 8 to 10% of people actually come here. You know, another 8% are here. The majority are going to be right here in these spots. Now, since you're not actually in York, it's a little bit more difficult to get you in the map here for York. And then they're going to be looking in the top 2 or 3 spots for local companies under here. So Home Advisor, you know, if this is somebody cheap and they're looking for a 3-square shed replacement, maybe they'll click here. But here's a local guy. This guy's probably going to get the click. This guy's probably going to get the click. Angie's List, Yelp, and here's Shiloh. So these are the top 3 guys. These are the folks that are probably going to get the clicks here. So you're good to go here in the Google guaranteed spot. You're good to go here in the #1 spot for the most valuable keyword. But I want you to see something. This is how I know if an advertising agency is wasting your money. This is how I'll know. If I just change this search term up to something else that people search for, like roofing shoes. Your ad didn't show up. That's a really good sign. Roofing nails. Your ad didn't show up. Although you showed up here, the free spot, your ad didn't show up there. Roofing tar. So what happens when people search, and people do search for roofing tar, what happens is when they search for something that's never going to lead to a conversion, your ad is shown. And when your ad is shown, you will get clicks on it because, you know, dummies will just click on it and say, oh, they don't sell roofing tar, and they hit their back button, and then that just costs you $5, $10, $20. But when your ad shows for terms that you're never going to sell somebody from, it disturbs your quality score, which means not only do you pay more when they click the ads for things that you're never going to sell, but it also means that your quality score goes down. So the stuff that you actually do want them clicking on, you're going to pay more for that. It's an algorithm that Google uses, but basically you don't want to be shown for roofing tar, roofing shoes, roofing nails, roofing felt. But overall, Rick, I would say that your advertising agency does a pretty dang good job here. Any thoughts, comments?
Yeah, I want more roofs.
Well, the way you're going
wanna
to
be
get it is
doing-
that you got to get in here.
I want to be
gotta
doing
get
100. I want to be doing 100 roofs a year, tear-offs.
This dude right here, this Affordable Roofing, York, PA,
Yeah.
Heidler Roofing, and then Shiloh Roofing to a lesser degree. You know, these are the people that are getting most of the Google traffic. So while you're here and here, this represents less than 20%, less than 2 out of 10 that search for this term, which is the most valuable term in your area, are hitting your ads. Everybody else is going here and here. You got to get your advertising agency to get you in here. Does that help?
On the SEO.
That's right. I mean, they're doing a good job on your paid stuff.
Right.
I would say they're in the 90th percentile as far as being able to handle paid. So they're good at paid, but you know, if
They're
you're
not doing, my advertising agency is doing nothing with the Google guarantee. That was all set up through GAF.
good, man.
GAF partnered with them for the Master Elite Roofers. And that's where that came from.
Yeah, this one's really solid. This listing right here, you know, for those 8% of people that type the search term in, and you're in the #1 spot, with a really solid rating, that drives phone calls. All right, a few comments here. Rick, have you considered sending letters to surrounding homes of a tear-off either before or after replacement?
I have my salesman going out beforehand to knock doors on the neighborhood to tell people, hey, we're going to be roofing next door. You know, blah, blah, blah. If you've any music or trucks or trash or anything, and if you'd like a quote, we can also provide that for you. They're doing that before we do any roof.
Yeah, cool. Mike says we're in the process of setting up Google Guarantee. That's good. And then he asks, GAF, is that through Surefire?
Yeah, I think Surefire set it up.
Yeah, Surefire is endorsed by GAF. Good agency. I've met some of them in the past when I did some speaking for GAF, and they have a set up. Good people. So we got Kathy and we got Eric on. Do you guys mind if I bring them on? Kathy, Eric, what's going on?
Hi, Mike.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really good. Kathy, I know a little bit about you. Tell us who you are, where you're from.
Denver, Colorado. We are a general contractor in the area focused on exteriors, which means we do a lot of roofs. We're running at about 7 million for this year. And listening to your earlier conversation, we run about 90 roofs a year.
Okay.
And that's on the residential side, and then we do commercial as well.
Wow. That's pretty good. How's your commercial going?
Great this year. We're booked through next June right now.
How did you initially get into the commercial, Kathy?
With purpose. So we made a real push to find and go to events that prime GCs were going to be at, and introduced ourselves and our services. And it took about 6 months to get to a point where we were being offered the bids and being asked to bid on the jobs. But it's come to fruition. It took over the last year, we've come a long way.
So you were actually going to events, introducing yourself. Were you handing them a packet, a business card? How'd that work?
I was grabbing business cards. I find that it's not worth handing anything out. It's better to be the one who continues to follow up.
So was that email, phone calls, letters,
Yes, all of the above.
all of the above? And you're a year down the road and things are finally starting to roll for you?
Correct. Yeah.
That's great. Well, we got Eric on the line too. Eric's a current member of the RCO Growth Kit, and he's in week 5 right now, guys. So he's gone through the referral partners and chugging along, and he just had a storm in his backyard. His own neighborhood where his roofing company is located got hit. So, but he doesn't have a mic, so we can't bring him on. Kathy, did you have any questions you wanted to ask?
Nope, just interested in hearing what you're all about. I've been part of the group for about a year. I do a lot of insurance work, so I've got a lot of good tips from you guys, and wanted to see if there was something I could weigh in on and help, or just learn some more from the people of the group.
Absolutely. Okay, so this whole idea about getting into commercial work, this is a big thing, because you can do one commercial job and it's worth 10, 20, 30 residential jobs. You're just dealing with one person, maybe a handful of people. The money is being passed through one person. The money goes out, the money comes in. As long as you're not dealing with a legal situation, it's actually a pretty good deal. Are you doing coatings primarily, Kathy, or are you doing TPOs, re-roofs?
Re-roofs, sidings, coatings, we do it all.
Okay. Eric wants to ask you a question. What's it like getting margins from the GCs?
There's a cartoon that's out there. You should look it up. It's kind of interesting. When you look at a commercial job, the money's in the change orders.
Yeah.
So always be aware, don't do anything extra, and always be fair with your pricing back to them. But everything on a commercial job is not spec'd correctly.
Right.
So margins on the initial bid run between 17 and 22%. And then the change orders are typically at a guaranteed 30% or more.
Kathy, what happens if you're not very good at getting your change orders signed off on and you just do the work anyway?
7%.
Ouch.
Yeah, painful.
That is painful. Do you have a process in place to get those change orders filled out? Who handles the change orders for your team?
Yes, I do. We have project managers on site. So they are responsible for getting the information to me, and I'll have the change order out within an hour of something coming up on the job.
Yeah, yeah. Ever have any trouble getting those change orders signed off on?
Oh, yes. But a stop work order goes a long way.
It does, doesn't it?
If it's a significant one, you have to do it. It's not comfortable, but you have to do it.
Yeah. So for people who have a hard time with being confrontive and they don't have a very confrontive personality, they probably wouldn't make a very good change order person for a commercial job.
That's correct.
Need somebody with some assertiveness here.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go to the team. Guys, what do you think? Anything good there you want to talk about? Mike is looking at you, Sean.
Oh, that's Kathy. That's great information. Honestly, that's some high dollar information you shared. So thank you for that. I was
Absolutely.
interested in. Yeah, I'm interested in the when you talk about your commercial work, and we're doing some commercial work, the coating makeup versus the re-roof, whether it be a membrane roof or I guess I don't know what other systems you're doing, but just kind of wondering on that makeup.
We are typically a TPO roof on the commercial side. Our coatings business is just starting to get up and running. We have we've been pretty fortunate. What we're finding is the coatings, you can get higher margins by a lot. The cost of entry is pretty low, and because it's pretty low, you know, it's all what your market can handle from there. So I think
you
our
partnering
last
with
job was at like 45%.
Are you partnering with somebody on the coding side, or are you just whatever system works best for you?
We like the Geico
Okay.
coatings, the silicon.
But they don't have any type of lead generation or anything like that, such as a
Mhm.
Aztec.
No, they don't.
And so your in is through. Just talk us through that process again when you were making connections, and I loved your your statement with regards to you're taking cards and then you're following up. That was a powerful statement. Just that where exactly you went to conventions, where GCs were. I'm sorry, I kind of missed that.
Yeah, there's trade shows in Denver pretty regularly that are home shows where the primes go, especially for custom homes. And then your commercial guys will do trade shows to try and find subs, which is a, you know, captive market in the Denver area. So they're pretty powerful to go and meet them. They will take the time to talk to you at those events. But anywhere that there's people looking for subcontractor labor, you should go, and you should look to do the opposite. Talk to the primes about what you can offer, not as a laborer, but as a coordinator for those larger jobs.
I see.
Because we go in and we sell roof siding, windows, gutters.
There's a lot of value in the coordination. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the value plus is coordinating the work.
Yeah, that's good.
Hey, Rick,
Yeah.
so you're doing some commercial work too, right?
I have dabbled in commercial work the entire time I've been in business. I have sort of over the last couple of years sort of let that stuff go and not even. I get tons of bid opportunities just because of my reputation in the past, and 95% of them I don't even touch. Just my experiences, and some of this is what she was referring to about, you know, change orders, doing extra work, not having the right process in place to execute the change order and get it signed off, and I'm doing work and then not getting paid, and just some bad experiences with that I've sort of, and the length of time to get the money, and then the margins were always so thin. It seemed like to get commercial work, and correct me if I'm wrong because I certainly don't know all there is to know, but commercial work to me always seemed like the cheapest guy got the bid. And to be the cheapest guy, I had to cut my margins down. And then if anything at all went wrong, and it typically does because details aren't drawn correctly and you bid based on a detail and then there's changes, and that's where my follow through wasn't there to collect on the change order. So I never felt really happy with the outcome at the end of the day with commercial. And the length of time to get paid.
It is definitely a different animal than a residential deal. There's no doubt about it.
Kathy,
Yeah,
are you doing mostly negotiated bids, or are you?
Yeah.
Are they negotiated or they bid? They're negotiated.
They're negotiated. We're doing design builds.
Okay. And so you have an architect or you have an engineer on staff?
We have PEs on staff, not structural engineers that are doing the actual plans.
Kathy, how do you compensate them? Are they strictly 1099 or are they on staff W-2?
The PEs are all on staff.
Okay.
They're actually my partners, so it works out pretty well from that perspective.
Oh, that works out great. So everybody's incentivized to get in on that deal.
Exactly.
Good. Well, I know that the big move right now is towards coatings because of, you know, as Kathy said, the margins can be 40, 50, crazy. I mean, the margins can be crazy. And I was just in Tyler with my ASAP crew, I'll be in their office tomorrow. Been working with them pretty close for 3 years, and they had a GAF rep, commercial rep in last time I was there. And she said, if you want to get into commercial, the easiest way to get into commercial is to ask your residential homeowners, do you own a business? And, you know, if you're doing high-end roofs in the residential areas, they're going to work in professional offices. They're going to own businesses. And it's just a matter then of getting on the roof and doing the inspection. You guys ask your residential customers if they own businesses?
All the time.
Pretty simple question to ask. I think you said this earlier, but Mike, he's in Arkansas. He was asking, Kathy, what was your percentage of commercial to residential?
Year 2, we were 25-75. Year 3, we're looking at 40-60.
See that trend continuing?
I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit.
I'm sorry. Do you see that trend continuing?
Absolutely. We actually put an estimator on full-time this year for commercial.
Okay.
So the 60% being commercial?
No, residential.
Okay.
But it sounds like you're going to cross the 50 threshold here pretty quick.
We hope to. We hope to.
All right, good deal. I don't want to keep people if you have other things going on. I mean, this is really good information, so stick around. I'll be here for a while, but you guys need to drop off. And, I'll keep plugging away.
So what does your advertising budget look like for that 60% residential that you're getting?
We do about $10,000 a month in advertising.
Okay.
And that includes the website and everything else.
Is that SEM, pay-per-click?
Correct.
Okay.
Denver, Colorado market is unlike any other market in the nation, maybe Long Island, New York. It's a bloodbath. So if you go into the market thinking you're going to jump in and grab a few quick leads, it doesn't work like that.
So Kathy, do you advertise to your commercial folks, or that's a different mechanism, right?
We do relationship selling there.
Yeah. Okay.
And honestly, I'd rather work for 4 really good primes than have 15 people. I'm not sure how they operate. So
Yeah.
Yeah, so true. You can get a hold of one crazy person, they'll mess you up for 3 or 4 months. On a 3 tab. Rick, what do you think about that $10,000 a month budget?
I'm puzzled. I'm puzzled. She's telling me that 60% of a 7 million business, so that's about 4 million, is residential on a 10 grand marketing budget. And I'm telling you, I'm spending 11 grand a month and getting $1 million in residential re-roofing. There's a disconnect for me when I have these conversations. It just never seems to add up for me. I think that I should be owning the market out here. And I think that I should easily do 100 roofs, but I don't know if this area is more heavily populated with roofers than other areas. I know it's not in Denver. I think there's a roofer everywhere in Denver, I think. But I don't know why that doesn't add up for me. That's why I'm constantly questioning that part of what I'm doing. It's not the spend, but it's the return. And should I move it elsewhere because I'm not getting the results I want, is my biggie.
Well, in Denver, you will go broke if you'll go broke on paid advertising if every lead that you generate, you only close 1 out of 3 or 1 out of 4. It just costs too much to advertise. And in Denver, most of the sales teams are going to be multiplying that lead into several other deals. really good at asking for referrals, really good at knocking around bills, really good at turning one deal into 3 deals or 5 deals. I don't think that you could take that full $10,000 and say, you know, this $1 million all came directly from this advertising. You know, maybe the advertising got them into the area, got the first job started. But Kathy, I'm assuming you have a pretty good sales team.
We do. Yeah, we do. Referrals are our number one source of leads.
So it really comes down to how aggressive are your salespeople on the ground once they get a lead and they get in the neighborhood.
What do you think that what's a, speaking of that and really good salespeople, what's a normal closing ratio for sales guys out there that I put out?
30%. Yeah, 30%.
Residentially or commercial?
Yeah, residential.
Residential.
Wow.
I mean, if you're the owner and you're walking in, your closing ratio is going to be a lot higher. If you're Rick, you know, Rick's going to close almost every one of those deals.
Yeah, my closing ratio is higher than that. Yes.
Right.
Sean, where's your closing ratio?
Well, I would say it's 40 to 50%. Our mechanism for tracking that is getting better, but it's unreliable. The CRM that we use, the data that goes into it is just, what it's pulling from is not what it should be pulling from. So it's just not a real reliable number, but it's probably higher than 50%, honestly.
Yeah. And I know Eric's closing ratio is through the roof too. I mean, he's a massive closer, but you know, if you want to scale your business, you can't be in front of all the customers.
What I have is I was closing about 44%, right in that range for myself. And with the sales guys that I have out there now, they're doing about 25, 26% closing.
Not unusual.
Now I do have to say that a lot's happened in the last year. So I went from last year selling my best roof for like $375 a square, tear off and put back. And today my best roof is probably $550 and upwards, between $550 and $700. So I knew by taking that jump in my price that my sales ratios were going to drop somewhat. And the 65 roofs that I sold last year and the 65 that I sold this year, the 65 I sold this year brought me in $250,000 more revenue than last year's 65 roofs because of my increased prices.
All right, checking the comments here. It says, Mike says he's running about 7% cost of advertising on 1.5 million. His overall closing ratio is 43%. If he goes out, I think he's at 80%. You know, the owner is always going to close at a higher level. That's where the problem is. You're going to grow your company unless you're going to split it up with other partners that are owners who are also going to close. The closing ratio. So if you're going to grow your company, you have to hire aggressive salespeople. If they're not aggressive, you have to teach them how to be aggressive. Because you can't afford to trade, you know, one lead for one sale. The leads that you generate have to come back, not one lead for one sale or 1 out of 3 leads for a sale. Sales have to come back in multiples. And that only comes from improving the current conversion ratio of your sales team, which comes from sales training, which comes from, you know, spending time with you, which comes from getting rid of the bad salespeople and replacing them with better ones. It's a constant conversion ratio. Yeah, Stephen says partners is a bad idea. Kathy, what do you think about that? Partners is a bad idea.
Oh, I guess they're silent partners most of the time. So I've got a pretty good setup.
As long as they stay silent?
Yep, exactly. We get along just fine.
Eric says he's closing at, well, he has a good CRM. His CRM says he closes at 58.82%. Pretty good. Eric also says that the partnership is the only ship that doesn't float.
That's why they invented buyouts.
True. All right. Mike is saying one thing that helped us is I created our pitch book. So we're all telling the same story. Do you guys use a pitch book?
We do. For the first year, we make our guys use a pitch book.
Did you develop that in-house or did you have somebody help you develop that?
We developed it.
Cool. Sean, you pitch freelance. I know that, right?
That's right. Yeah, well, it's me. We don't roofing, we have construction salespeople, but I do most of the roofing sales. But as far as the construction sales folks, we don't have a pitch book now.
How about you, Rick?
Yeah, I do. I never did when I was out, but I did develop one. We developed it in-house when I hired the sales guys.
Great. I was at Eric's, and I'll be back there the first Friday of next month for a private training event, but he went through his iPad pitch, and he developed that with Rodney Webb. It's killer. Man, his pitch is killer on an iPad, and his top sales guy could rattle it off like that. Everybody in the room kind of had it. This top sales guy just had it down pat. Everybody's saying the same thing. Mike says they use 12.9-inch tablets to tell our story. Don't actually carry the pitch book.
Yeah, that's what we do. We got ours on the iPad.
I guess I'm kind of like Sean. I like to read somebody's body language and look at them, uncover what their need is. And I'm old school, but I used a pitch book, for some of the other products that I'd sold in the past. And it helped me kind of stay on course. I don't know. I guess when you're bringing rookies in and you're trying to train them, the pitch book keeps everybody on the same page. In all of my training for Roofing Salesman University, the sales domination system, I give them verbal scripts to use at the front door, how to get on the roof, how to get in the house, how to get the paperwork signed. So I give them a script. But, there's all kinds of things that happen in between there. Pet the cat, let the dog. Stuff that doesn't go in the pitch book.
What's the number one objection in the home when you're trying to sell a roof? You've gone through your pitch, you sat down and presented numbers, and then the number one objection.
Are you talking retail or are you talking insurance?
Retail.
Yeah. Retail is they want to think about it.
Yep. Number one, want to think about it, or I got to check with my spouse.
Yeah.
Basically, we try our hardest to set appointments for both, and people will commit that, yeah, they'll be there. And then you get there and only one of them's there. And they have that out of deferring that I got to talk to my spouse.
How do you handle that, Sean?
I don't. I just, I quite honestly, I'm not a one stop, one sale. I don't work that way because I just don't. So I'll do multiple visits and follow up, and I'm not trying to close the deal. I'm not coming up with the language that I want to come up with. What's that called?
The one call close.
There you go. Thank you very much. One call close. So I don't have a good answer for you. I know that Rodney Webb teaches that, that you're there, you're gonna make that they have all the objections crossed off, and they have a strategy for each objection, and you practice that so you don't have to think about it when you get into that objection. I haven't subscribed to that.
I just had a meeting with my sales guys today, and we were talking about exactly that when I want them to start when they get to the house and they're met with only one of the homeowners and not both, that I want them to back off the one call and say to the customer, well, we're going to go ahead and do our measurements and document what we need and take some photographs and stuff. When's a good time that we can meet with you and your husband to try to set an appointment then if they run into that where they just got a one-legger and we want to present obviously to both so we don't get hit with that objection. We just covered that today. What do you think of that, Mike? That was my approach with my guys, telling them as soon as they realize that to back up, don't do the presentation and just say, well, we're going to gather information today and when's a good time that we can have you both here.
Yeah, I mean, that's one way you can handle it for sure. It really depends on the person that's sitting in front of me and their personality type. If it's somebody that's, arrogant or assertive, I go over the personality buckets in Roofing Salesman University. But if they're assertive, I'll challenge them and ask them if they're able to make a decision on their own, or if they need somebody's help to make that decision. But if it's an engineer or if it's a relational type, I'll usually back off. Kathy, what are your thoughts?
I agree. I think it's not worth trying to close it unless you know you've got the dominant person of the relationship.
Mike's from Arkansas says, we asked the question, great, when would be a good time for me to follow up with you and do it? One of the things you guys don't realize about Sean here is that when I go visit Sean, I have to drive through 20 minutes of cornfields to get to his office. He's not in the middle of a big metroplex or anything like that. It's like Field of Dreams for 15, 20 minutes, winding the roads, go over with the Old Creek Bridge, and then you kind of pop out into this town. So he's doing millions of dollars out in the middle of nowhere. So when he has to follow up with somebody, I mean, it's pack your lunch and go see him again.
Yeah, perhaps, but then I don't know. There's just you just establish yourself as the authority in the market, and I don't see hardly anybody else doing roofs in our area. We just gobbled it all up. It just in our town, I should say. And so there's definitely areas that I need to expand, and that's why I think when I was talking earlier about the leads that kind of I'm usually super busy in the fall, but my volume was so much. It was much more this year. So I think definitely I need to listen or lend an ear to the marketing side of things so that I can continue that consistency through the year.
Yeah. Well, all the deals are found in those SEO results in the maps. That's where the deals are found. That's where the majority of the traffic's going. Google is a multi-billion-dollar company. They killed the yellow pages, except for in rural areas where people don't have high-speed internet. And, people are, if they don't have a referral, if they don't have a spouse, that knows somebody or somebody from work knows somebody, they're going to go to Google. They're going to look in the maps. The majority of people are going to look in the maps for the first 2 or 3 local companies under the maps in their hometown. And that's who they're going to call. That's where all those customers are hiding.
Not where you're physically at, right?
Say that again, Rick.
There's no other way to be located on the mapping of Google if that's not where you're physically at. Like I live in a small town of East Berlin, and there ain't enough people here to sustain one roofer, in this little town. But surrounding me is all the metropolitan areas of York, Harrisburg, Lancaster.
Right.
So I don't pop up on the York search on the map.
The map's tricky. I mean, the way that a lot of contractors have solved it is by opening satellite offices in those locations so they could have a physical address. But Google's really tight about that. I mean, they want to verify it. They want, charter papers, legal papers showing that you actually have that location. And it can be a pain. If you're in a small town and you're trying to reach the next big city, Google looks at that map listing as, when somebody types it in, they think that you're looking for, I just want the closest pizza guy to me. I just want the closest roofer to me. And if you're in the town, 5, 10, 15 miles away, you're never going to get in that map without a physical location. That's something that I help my clients do when we do expansion. Not in the RCO growth kit, but it's in the next level RCO elite, and we work on expanding their territory. But yeah, if you can get under the map,
Right, with the
With a good
SEO,
SEO strategy, you can get under the maps for that city.
right?
All right. Hey, this has been a really good meeting. The hour's kind of flown by. A lot of people have joined us, a lot of good questions. Kathy, I want to thank you especially for coming on and sharing your insight on commercial. You didn't have to do that. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for doing this.
John, thanks again, man, it's like a reunion tour here with you and Rick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for
Appreciate
being
it.
on, man. I miss your smiling face. Rick, always love seeing you. Eric, I will see you in the RCO Growth Kit. And wish everybody a good night. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Take care, Mike.